Hi everyone, and welcome to this module or this video in which we'll be doing Python for beginners. My name is Anirudh Kalbande. I am founder and director at Fireblaze AI School. We are one of the leading training company in data science, machine learning and AI. And this particular one we'll be talking about all about Python. And in this one, this video is particularly for everyone, those who don't even know ABCD of Python and want to dive into it. So we'll be covering wide amount of topics, like almost you will be able to do everything in Python from scratch if you go through if you go till the end of this one. Now I'll give you a brief gist of all the topics which we'll be studying over here in this particular video. Now, as a programming language, the basic thing is variable. So what are the different kind of data types and how we can create different variables in Python? We'll be checking that first. So post that, we'll be jumping towards how we can print something in Python, how we can take inputs from the user in Python. What are the data structures? Why are they used? Like list, tuple, dictionary, set, right? What are the difference between them? How and what instances we could make most of them for data science? Then post that, we'll be jumping on towards the traditional logical programs what are required, like what are the operators, arithmetic, logical, bitwise, conditional, then all different kind of operators we'll be seeing, assignment operator even. And then post that, how do we write a for loop or a while loop, that is the looping system in Python, and how we can give conditions. So conditional statements in Python, that is an else if and else, right? So all of these would be taken care of, and by the end of the module we'll be seeing what are the functions, how we can bundle around a small snippet of code, and then we can use all of that to make an impact or to create a small function, right? Small utility functions. So we'll be seeing that part. This entire thing would give you a very brief understanding about Python, and you'll be good to go for any kind of applications. So I am really excited about this particular one. I hope you are too. And let's start. So the programming software or the IDE which we'll be using to write the code is Jupyter IPython Notebook. It's one of the very famous IDEs which we generally use for Python. And yeah, so let us start now. So I have already created my folder and everything, and if you want to get an understanding about how we can install the software and all, I have made another video for that, so you can just check up that. And over here we'll directly start with the notebook. Now I'll simply create a new notebook, so new, and I have created Python 3, and I'll just give a reheading to the name, say Python for beginners. So that's the notebook has been renamed. Let me just save a checkpoint, and this is a cell. This guy is called a cell. So here I'll be writing my major codes, right? Now I'll also open up my white screen, so you can see I am using Google Jamboard, and this is the place where we'll be understanding certain concepts. So to begin with, let me just start by writing something. Perfect. So yeah, now when we start any kind of coding anywhere in any kind of language, right, there are certain things which are called as variables. So variable is first of all something which holds your data. So variable. Okay, let me just write it properly again. Yeah. Okay, all right, I guess it is little slow, I believe, right? So perfect. Now let me just erase this one. Now there are 4 different kinds of variables in Python. First one is your integer, int, integer, right? Now integer is something which gives you an idea about how the data is, or all of your numerical values, right? Though it be negative or positive, could be properly stored in an integer. So let me just show you this over here itself, right? So say for example, this is types of data, or you can say data types in Python. Now I have created this. So if you try to look at the first one is the integer guy, the second one is the float guy, and the third one is the string guy, and the next one is boolean. So these are basically the 4 different data types. I have just named them for you, right? And over here, any kind of data, right, any kind of smallest bit of data, you can hold it in a variable, and it could be of all of these 4 basic formats. So if I just say a is equals to 5, right? Now 5 is an integer number. It is a whole number. It is not having any kind of decimal value into it. And if you just try to say, just save it, and if you want to now know what is the type of variable a, if you can just check type of a, you'll get int. So basically this is an integer type. Now integer values do not have decimal values, and they can be negative or positive. So let me give again an example to you of a -5, and then if I try to check type of b, right, type of b, you'll again get an integer. So that's how you can store an integer value. Then similarly, if I write c, and suppose this time we can write 5.5, right, we will be taking 5.5. Now 5.5 is not an integer because it has a decimal value. So it's a float value. All the values, even if it is like a 5.0, right, 0.0 as well, if it's there, then that's a float value. Float over here is different than integer, right? So I know that it is a number, but that's how programming bifurcates it. So if I just write type of C, you can see that I'm having float value. C is of float type, right? Again, it could be negative or positive, anything is allowed. Then if I jump to a variable D, now strings, the next one was strings. So string could be again of any of like any kind of a string, or a character or a special character could be involved, a small word, a sentence, or anything. But the thumb rule over here to define a string is that it should be in quotes. Okay, now well, you can use a single quote or a double quote, but yeah, like so suppose if you give a single quote and write hello, and suppose if we now check type of this D guy, you can see that it comes out to be an integer. So basically now D variable is stored as a hello world, and it's of type string. Okay, so we had integer, float, and string. Hello is a string. Then again, like here also you can have e is equals to, and you can write say my or else let's this time use double quotes, my name is Anirudh and my age is 30. So say for example, or say maybe I should reveal my true age, that's 100. So A is 100, and if I check my type of E, right, you can see it is again a string. So do remember this as a good practice, that whenever you have a single word to be defined as a variable, it's a single quote. Whenever you want to define some sentence which involves a collection of words or spaces, then you use double quote. Okay, it's a good practice. Now, and again, like it is not a mandatory thing, you can like interchange them and it would work swiftly. But yeah, just remember that for single words, single quote, more than one word, double quote as a standard practice. Then if I try to have an F variable, and this time we want to have it as a boolean, so you can see F I stored, and if I write type of F, you can see it's a bool. So bool means boolean value. All the true and false variables are stored as boolean. And always remember that this doesn't need to be in quotes, and T is always capital. So you cannot write like an false with FALC, and it would recognize it. It will throw you an error for that. F should always be capital for this guy, and then and only then it will recognize it as a boolean. And again, if I put this true and false in quotes, 100% is gonna think that it is a string value, right? And it won't give you the importance or characteristics what it would give you when you'll treat it as a float value, right? Now this was your data type, and data type could be all these four basic ones. Then at an advanced level, you do have another data type which is called as a complex as well. So note, complex is an additional data type, okay, in Python. So just for your knowledge, I'm writing this over here. Now moving ahead, now you have an idea about data types. Now let's move ahead and try to explore how we can print something in Python. So for printing, we use a reserve keyword which is called as a print statement. Now there are a lot of different reserve keywords which would be used for all different kind of purposes, but the first one is print, and then after that we'll also be checking input. So print statement is basically used for printing out anything in Python. So you just need to write print, round bracket, you give a quotes over here, and within that, like, you can write hello world and run it, and bam, that's your hello world code for the first time, right? So it's as easy as that. Like there's no clutter of writing printf, scanf, cin, cout like other programming languages. So just make sure that you use this quotes and you give this round brackets as well. Then moving ahead, you could print anything. Like if I have a age variable with 100 value, obviously my age variable is an integer over here. And if I simply try to print age variable, it will print the value of whatever it is holding. So age is equals to 100. That stored 100 value in age, and then when I try to print age, it is printing 100 over there, right? So I hope that you have an idea now how the variables also can be put. Now suppose that we want to print something in combination, like I want to print integer value as well as some string before that. So for that we make use of comma. So say, and now with this I want to print that my age is, and then I want to show whatever is that age variable having. So my age is, if I just write like this, it will print as it is. But if I just give an age after that, it will throw me an error, because you need to join this string guy to this integer guy. And when you want to concatenate these two, a string and an integer, you want to print together, you need to use a comma in between. So when you use a comma in between and you try to run it, you can see a space is added at the end of it, like where the comma is there. But yeah, you could simply get it all printed. So my age is 100, whatever is the value of age, right? You could even change or override the value of age to say 15. And then if I just try to print again my age is, and give a comma and write age, you can see that we again have got the value as 15. So that's how you can use the print statement. It's pretty smooth, it's pretty easy. Then now what if we want to ask user that, hey, what's your age? And then we want to take that value and then print it. So for that we can work with input statement, right? Now input statement, if we simply write variable a, and if we write input, and within input if I say write say age as input, and if I write please enter your age, and if I run it, so if I hit shift enter, so you can see like while running it's giving a star over here, and it is prompting something like this, please enter your age, and whatever I'll write, that value will get stored in this age variable. So suppose I write 25 got executed, number came over here, and if now I try to print the age of user is a comma age variable, and if we run it, you can see 25 is the value. Now we can even combine these two statements and write it properly, right? So say for example, if we run it like this, age was input, please enter your age and print the age of the user is. And if we run like this, it again gives us a prompt, and if I write say 27, again if I run it, the age of the user is 27. So that's how it is printing. You might have seen those cool applications of forms, right? It will ask you what's your name, you'll say Ajay, and then the next question would be, so Ajay, what's your last name? So Ajay, what's your age? Like that, they'll be interactive forms, right? So you now know in the back end of programming what happens. It will hold your value, a variable will hold your value whenever you will input something, and then however the program is designed, according to that it will like reveal your value or return your value and use it anywhere in the sentence, right? So that's how it's print and input statement could be used. Input just to get an input from the user, print to print anything using Python, and then all the different data types. Now once we have an idea about the data types and print and input statement, let's move to something really fun, and that is operators. So now there are a lot of different kind of operators which we use in Python. To name a few, the basic ones are arithmetic, then you have comparators, which we also call as relational operators. Then you also have something called as a logical operator. Then there is bitwise operator. Then there are assignment operators, and membership operator as well. Okay, so like these are the few which I have just named, some 6 of them, and you can use like all of them in different kind of combinations. I'll give you a quick tour about what they are and which one like could be used in all different instances. So arithmetic operator is something which will help you to say perform all different kind of arithmetic operators. So your plus, minus, star, asterisk, then your division, then your floor, right? Floor 2 times, and then your power, then modulus, that is percentage. All of these basically are arithmetic operators, right? So I'll just remove this guy. Yeah, then so these are all arithmetic operators. They'll help you to perform all different kind of arithmetics, like any kind of, like you want to take sum of 2 numbers, you'll use addition arithmetic operator. You want to take power of 2 numbers, you'll use star, that is power arithmetic operator. So I've just named them few over there. So what I'll do is, instead of keeping them over here, let's try to explore them. So arithmetic operator. Now suppose there are 2 variables, a is 5 and b is 10, and I want to perform some arithmetic operation between them. So a plus b, you can see the result turns out to be 15. So plus is an arithmetic operator. Suppose value of again a is say 3 and b is say again 4, right? And now you want to multiply them. So a into b, 3 into 4, 12. A star b. So this would mean that 3 to the power 4. So 3 to the power 4. What would be the value? So 3. If you want to comment this, right, you can use a hash over here, and that string part would get commented. So 3 to the power 4 is 81, right? And that's how you can get a power of there. So lot of them are there, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, flooring, modulus. You can explore them wide in depth, but yeah, these are the basic ones. And like you can even do 10 by 2, 10 by 2 will give you 5.0. Output of division arithmetic operator is always a float. Then suppose you want to write 10 divided by 7. Like now this would come 1.42857, something of that sort, right? A lot of big decimal value. Now you don't want all of this. You want to boil it down to the lowest integer, right? Again, lowest integer. So for that you can use a floor value. So 10 / acts as a floor, and 7 you'll get lowest integer, that's 1. And if you again write 10 modulus 7, this percentage sign acts as a modulus operator, and that returns you a remainder. So when you divide 10 by 7, what remainder do you get? You get 3, right? So that's how you got 3 over here. So because 7 is always divisible by 10, and then remaining part is your 3. If you write 11 mod of 7, you'll again get 4, because 4 is the remainder part, right? So you need to choose that what all things are remainder and how you can like work around all of those part, right? And that's your arithmetic operator, everyone. Then there are like the next one, what we could see is relational operator. Now relational operator is something which will help you to diagnose the relation between different features. So say for example, if you have A is equals to 5 and B is equals to 10, you run it. You want to check the values, or you want to compare, or you want to find out the relation between the values A and B. So you check A is greater than B. Is it true? No. 5 is not greater than 10, right? So that's why you got an answer as false. A is greater than or equal to B. Is it equal as well? Nope. Again a false. A is less than or equal to B. Yup. 5 is less than 10. A is less than B, which is again true, right? Then you can even use it as a comparator. Like if you want to check A is, whatever value of A is there, is it equivalent to B or not? So A double equal to B, right? Then if you write A not equal to B and run it, you'll get true, because A and B are not equal. 5 and 10 is not same. They are different, right? So that's how these are your relational operators. So relational operators basically give you an idea about how is the relation between two features, whether it is less, more, equal, whatever it is, right? So there are again less than, equal to, greater than, greater than, then not equal to, and double equal to for comparison. Then after relational, right, you want to combine certain multiple conditions and apply those logical and or, right? So for that, next one is your logical operator, right? Now logical operator gives you basically the power to merge two conditions. So say for example, if there is a value, there is an outcome true, and there is another outcome true from two different conditions, and using both those trues and false, or whatever two outcome booleans are, you want to map them out and create another one. So like you have something like an and, then you have and, you have or, and you have not. Okay, now we'll try to see and. Now listen to me carefully. And operator will be true when both the conditions are true. So and is true only when it has everything as true. Even if there is one false, and would never come to be false. Okay, so and will always be false. Even if there is one false, and will be false. It will not be true. It is true only when everything is true. Okay, and is true when everything is true. So say for example, value of A is 5. Done. A is less than 10. Okay, A is greater than 50. Is it true? No, it's false. Now we want to combine these two conditions and check. So for that, what we could do, A is less than 10. That's our first condition. And we could write this and A is greater than 50. Run it. it will be false because one of them was false, right? Now, say for example, if you want to check if the number is positive and greater than 10. So suppose a value is 15. Now we wrote the first condition, a is greater than 0. Is it true? Yup. Now is a greater than 10 as well? Is it true? Yup. Both are true. So both are true means and if you apply over here, and will also get you true, because when everything is true, and gives true. And we have seen that how it is false, right? So if I write that a is greater than 0, that's my first condition, and a is greater than 10, that's my second condition. Both the conditions are true, so true will return you true. That's correct, right? Then next time, suppose a value is minus 10. Okay, and then if you try to give the same condition, now both of them are false, right? So false will always be false. Either one of them is also false, right? Either one of them is also false, then also this guy will return false. So say this, if we take value of a as say 5, so when it is 5, it is, this guy is true because it is positive, greater than 0. This guy is false because it is not greater than 10. So when you run it false and true, it is true and false, it is one is having false, so that's why and will be false. See this, false, right? So again, I'll repeat, whenever all the values are true, then and only then and will give you true, otherwise every condition it would be false, right? And or is exactly opposite of your and, like or needs both of them to be false to be false. So either this is true and is true, either that is true and is true. So both are true, obviously again your or is true. So you need to run it very thoroughly and be it very clear. So if you write a, suppose a is again 5, right? And if we write a greater than 0, that's true, right? This condition is true. And if I write or over here and again another condition as a greater than 10, right? But this time we have written or. How is or? When both of them are false, then and only false. When other one, like it needs at least one true to be true. So one of them is true, right? So it will return you true. Then suppose if we give it as 50, both of them are true, so true. Now suppose if we give it as a negative value, minus 10. Now both of them false, or will also be false. Check that out. Are you getting it, everyone? So try to explore it more, give it time, read more about it. You should be good to go. Okay, and that's your logical operator over there as well. Now we have seen few of the operators, right? I guess these are more than enough to work. Then you have like bitwise, membership, and assignment. We'll see them later. Bitwise operator is something which gives you an idea of arithmetic operation when it is performed by bit to bit. So it first converts the data into binary, then gives you a bitwise operation, right? You don't again need it lot with respect to data science, so we can skip that part for now. Assignment operator is like an incrementer or decrementer, which would make changes in the same variable. And membership is just to check if some value is in a collection or not. Okay, so membership again at the time of sequences we can dive in. Now when I'm saying sequences, what are sequences? Sequences is something which is or which will give you an idea about collection of data. So that's why they are also referred sometimes as data structures. Data structures are something which will hold your data in a specific manner. And to do that, there are 4 data structures. So first one is the list guy, second one is the tuple guy, third one is the dictionary guy, and the next one is your set guy. Okay, so when you try to look at all of them, so there are 4 of these. Now one by one we'll check all of them. So firstly, what is a list? List is a data structure or a sequence which uses square bracket, and list basically holds your data which is like heterogeneous. You can have all different kind of data in it, like it can store integer value, a float value, a bool value, or it can even store a list within it. The core characteristic of list is that it is mutable, means it can be modified. Once defined, you can make changes in it. You can like add, remove, insert, do all of the manipulation operations over a list. And that's what is your key difference between a list and a tuple. That once defined, a tuple cannot be edited. We make use of round brackets to define a tuple. Now, after understanding all of what are the different data types, how we can perform printing, taking an input from the user, and then all the different kind of operators, it's time to work with respect to collection of data. That is your sequences: list, tuple, dictionary, and set. These are the 4 different sequences in Python, and they are like used in variety of different applications, and like it's the heart of Python. So let's try to jump in and see them. So sequences in Python, if I try to work, so yeah, the first guy is the list, second guy is the tuple, third guy is the dictionary, and fourth guy is the set. So these are the 4 different kind of sequences in Python. Now listen carefully, I am telling you about all of them in brief. List is something which is mutable. Mutable means that it can be modified. Means you can add, insert, subtract, remove, delete, perform all the operations once it is defined. Tuple is exactly opposite of your list. It cannot be modified. So we call it as an immutable data structure. We make use of square bracket to define a list. We make use of a round bracket to define a tuple. That's the core difference, right? Editable, uneditable. Now let's try to see how both of them work. So a list L1 could be defined by writing say 1, 2, 4 and say 10.5. You can have all different data structures within a single list or a tuple. So when I run it, and if I check data type of L1, it's a list guy, right? Then moving ahead, if we simply try to say get a list, and if I show you this, it looks something of this sort. So 1, 2, 4, 10.5, all the values are stored, right? Now again, I'll make another list for you, say L, and again L is a pure one, so 1, 2, 3 and 4. And if I try to show you L again, that's the same 4 values. If I want to add something in this to do that, we make use of append. So if I write L dot append, and if I write my value say 5, run it, no output, but if you look at L, 5 has been added at the end of the list, so that's appending. If you want to remove something, we make use of remove. L dot remove, and if I simply write that I want to remove 3, and if I run it, and if I check L, you can see 3 is gone. So this means that it can be edited. You can even insert something at a specific position, but to know about that, we need to know what positions are, and that concept is called as indexes. So there is something called as a structure of indexes. We'll try to understand that. So indexing in a list, right? It's pretty much common in list, tuple and other data structures. So let's try to understand them. Now suppose there is a variable city, and within say cities, since it will be having multiple. Now suppose we have Delhi, we have Mumbai, we have New York, and say we have LA, right? Now suppose we simply run them and create a city. So we have cities variable, which is a list. Now the data is stored in a specific manner, and those positions are called as indexes. So the first position, that is Delhi, is at 0th index. This guy is at first index, that is Mumbai, second and third. So if when you move left to right, it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. If you move right to left, it's -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. So if I just show you, if we just write cities square bracket 0, that's going to give you Delhi. If I write cities square bracket -1, it's going to give you LA. If I write cities square bracket -3, so -1, -2, -3, it's going to be Mumbai. And if you want to go left to right and find Mumbai, 0, 1. So cities square bracket 1, Mumbai again, right? So that's how the concept of indexes work. And on top of it, there is also, you can also use this to insert something at a specific value. So if I just show you cities, that's my original cities variable, Delhi, Mumbai, New York, LA. And now suppose at second index, I want to put Bangalore over there. So what's the second index? That is 0, 1, and 2 after Mumbai. So if I write cities dot insert, where do I want to insert? At second index. What do I want to insert? Bangalore. So if I run this, that's it. If we check, Bangalore has been inserted over there, right? So insert function, append function, remove function, like there are a lot of functions, right? There's extend, there's pop, there's count, there's index. You can explore about more of them. But yeah, I hope that it acts as a Kickstarter for you, and that's how the list works. Moving ahead, let's try to take a quick look at the tuple. So tuple is basically immutable data structure. The difference, yep, the difference. Pause the video and take a recall of the difference. Oh yeah, I remember. I know that you don't remember. The tuple was something which was immutable. It cannot be edited once it is defined. So if I write T1 and if I just have say 1, 2, 3, and 4 and run it and check type of tuple T1, it's a tuple, right? And if we again write index 0, I'll get 1 value. If I write with index -1, I'll get 4 value, right? So indexing concept is as well pretty much same in a list and a tuple. Now if I try to write T1 dot append, and if I try to write, say I want to add 10 at the end, it will give me an error and say that tuple object has no attribute append, because you cannot add or delete or do any kind of changes to once a variable is defined. So if I simply again try to write, say T1 dot remove, say 1, again tuple object has no attribute remove. You cannot delete, you cannot add, you cannot modify it altogether, right? But yes, you can have different data types stored, you can have different passwords stored, you can have different product IDs stored which are non-changeable or which don't change across the industries or anything of that sort, right? And that's basically your tuple. Now if you observe carefully the list and tuple, you were having a structured, ordered data format which you could store, right? Now there is also something which could be stored in unstructured format, and that unstructured data structure is the dictionary, right? And the uniqueness about it is that it doesn't have indexes, but those indexes you can give by yourself, and then they are referred to as keys. So basically dictionary stores the data in key value format. So if I try to check that out, dict, D-I-C-T is the short form for dictionary. And if I write D1, if I give quotes, and if I write A, and then if I write 10, if I write say B, and if I write 200, and if I run it, right? And if we look at D1, that's your key value. Whatever is in the left hand side of colon, that is this guy, is called as a key. It could be a number, a string, or anything. Whatever is in the right hand side of colon is called values. That could again be anything, a string, number, float, integer, bool, any kind of data type. Now using this you can fetch this guy, using this you can fetch this guy, not vice versa. So if I write D1 square bracket A, I'll be getting 10. If I write D1 square bracket B, I'll be getting 200. Key is always unique. Obviously, you cannot have two A's in the same data and store two different values. Just make a note of it. Then, if I write D1, or maybe just check type of D1, right? That's a dictionary. Now, if I write D1 dot say keys, it will give me all the keys A and B. If I write D1 dot values, right, it will give me all the values of the dictionary. If I write D1 dot items, it will give me key value pair as a tuple. So you can see this is a big square bracket as a list. Within that, first key value pair is in the tuple round bracket. This is the second key value pair, right? So that's how basically you can give your keys, values, and items, right? And that's the dictionary, which is largely being used and a very wonderful data structure. Moving ahead, and again, it is mutable. So you can edit it once defined, you can remove the values and all of those things. But it's unordered. There's no fixed order or structure one by one. It is not storing something of that sort. It's just a collection. You put everything inside it, it's mixed over there. Then the next data structure is a set. So set is basically something which is used to store only the unique values. It is mutable, but it will hold only unique. So that's remember the characteristic, the core uniqueness about set. Only unique values, nothing else. Like you could have a city, right? You could have a cities list which could store say NY and LA, right? And if you try to check cities, you still have it. But now if you try to store an S1, give a curly bracket and again store say NY or say maybe I just use numbers 1 2 2 2 3 4, and then if I run L1 or S1, right, can you see it is storing only 1 2 3 4? That's it. It has not stored this two multiple number of times, right? Then if I just write S1 dot add 10, and if I check S1, you get 10 added. If I write S1 dot remove and remove 10 out of it, and if again I write S1, you can see 10 is gone. So 1 2 3 4, right? That's how you can simply use set. So I hope that now after all of this you have a clear understanding about what are the different sequences or data structures or collections in Python, that is list, tuple, dictionary, and set. Go through more, like try to have more examples sorted out. It would be right there in your mind, right? All the best. Moving ahead, let's try to understand conditional statements. So conditional statements in Python. Now conditional statements are something which are used to perform certain statement only if or not that condition is true. So say for example, I want to print if the age is above 18, right? I want to print something that you are eligible or you are an adult if the age entered by the user is greater than 18. Some kind of condition, right? Like how traffic signals work. Red light is there, don't go ahead. Green light is there, go ahead, hit the accelerator. Red light, hit the brake, right? So if we write something of that sort, say for example age, suppose age value is all right, age value is 15, right? And now I want to do something after checking the age. So if I write if age is greater than 18, right, then I want to print that person is an adult, right? So see how I have structured this code, and it will obviously not do anything when I run the code. So I ran the code, the number is here, but it is not printing that person is an adult. Why? Because this condition is not getting satisfied. So age 15, if age greater than 18, right? If is your reserve keyword like print and input and all others, age greater than 18, and print person is an adult, right? So 15 greater than 18 is false. Since there it is a false, it is not doing anything. Now similarly, like if I just copy paste this guy and if I write 20 over here, Now 20 is greater than 18, true, so this should get printed. So you can see it's printing person is an adult, right? Now suppose if the condition is false, even then you want to do something, right? And again, don't miss out this tab space. Whatever you want to run when the condition is true, that needs to be a tab space ahead. When you go back tab space, it means that you are outside of that statements. Okay, it will mandatorily run. So if I just copy paste this thing, and if I hit enter and go back and write else, that if the condition is false, I want this to happen, otherwise I don't, right? Else that person is not an adult. Okay, so if I just run this for 20, the person is an adult. If I just copy paste, put it over here, and if I write say 15, person is not an adult, right? Because the criteria is not getting satisfied now. And this is how if and else work, and that's your conditional statements. There is also something called as else if, like you can give one more condition to this, and that would go pretty much handy, something of this sort. So here instead of this else, we can write ELIF, else if. What do you want to do else if is false? So age greater than say or say less than 0, right? If the age is less than 0, means someone put a negative word or something of that sort. Less than or equal to 0, we should print invalid age. Okay, and run it. So when we have this, we don't get any output because person is between 0 and 18, so we don't have a condition for that. Then if we try to have say 75 over here, it will say that the person is adult. And suppose I am a mischievous guy in the class and I am writing -5, that's an invalid age, right? Are you getting it? Now suppose for the missed out condition, that is an else, we also want to print that otherwise the else the person is a child, right? Print person is not an adult. That means he is a child, right? So if we simply run this, you can see for -1 invalid age, and if you try to take any value between 0 to 18, if you write 15, person is not an adult. And if you try to take a value which is like say 27, you can see that person is an adult, right? So that's how basically you can give if else. I hope that now until now it's not even an hour and you have reached till if and else condition, right? So yeah, now after this, let's try to understand how we can give iterations. So iterations in Python are used to iterate something. Like if you want to repeat something out again and again, again and again, again and again in a loop, like how we listen to the songs which we love, we can use loops in Python. And there are two kind of loops in Python. One is a for loop. So we call it them as iterators. And the first one is a for loop, and the second one is a while loop. Now listen carefully, what is the difference between both of them? So for loop is something which we generally use whenever we want to run a loop for specific set of time. So say for example, like I want to run 5 times, right? So what I'll do is I'll write for I in range 10 or say 5. Range 5 will generate 5 numbers in the backend, that is 0, 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, I'll also show you this. So suppose if I write range 5, it is generating 5 numbers in the backend for me. And if I want to look at them, I'll write it in a list. So see this, range 5, 0 to 4 numbers are generated. Now if I write for I in range 5, so what will happen? One by one, each value starting from the 0th index, one by one, each value starting from the 0th index will come in the variable I, this I. And it will keep on running till total number of values in range come in I. So say for example, I print value of I, or say I write value of I is, and give a comma. So you can see you have value of I 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's being repeated. Now if you don't want to make use of that I value, fine, don't use it. Suppose you want to print hello world for 5 times, you can do that. So for I in range 5, and I could write, say, print hello world and run it. You'll get hello world 5 times by doing so. So basically your range is something which is going to generate numbers, and your for loop is something which is going to iterate it. Okay. Now we'll also see an example of an while loop. While loop is something which generates a condition, and that condition, unless and until the condition is true, it will keep on running. As soon as the condition is false, it will stop. So say for example, a value is a is 1. Okay. And then if I give a condition that a is less than or equal to 5, right? And then you need to give a colon, and then suppose I want to print value of a is, and give the value of a. Now if I just run this, the loop is gonna run infinitely. Now we don't want that to happen. Why? Because then it will hang our system, it will keep on running. There's no way we could stop it. We'll have to stop the entire code, right? So because every time it will go up and check value of a value is 1 less than 5, which is always true. So this guy will always be true. So this guy will always keep on running. So there's a provision that we need to make it false after a certain time. So why not we write a is equals to a plus 1. A value is 1, 1 plus 1, 2. So the next loop, it will become 2. Next loop, it will become 3. Next loop, it will become 4. Next loop, it will become 5. Next loop, it will become 6. And when it is 6, 6 less than equal to 5, false. So it will keep running. It will stop the loop, right? So if I just play it down, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for 6, it's not running. If I change this condition to 6, for 6 also it will run, and then it will stop running. Right? I hope that you are getting while loop. In while loop, it is most important that we remember to give a condition. Right? If you forget the condition, it will keep on running till infinity, and then no one can save you. So that's why these are the two very best processes to do something whenever something needs to be done again and again, again and again, repetitively. So for loop and while loop for everyone. Now let's head towards the last topic of this particular video, and that's a function. Now functions are something wherein we try to bundle our code and then try to perform some operation. So a lot of time, like a calculator, you can create a function, like to do anything, right? Any specific task, to calculate sum, to calculate square root, anything, you can create a function. There are two types of functions basically. One is a built-in function, which are already written for you, and then you can just make use of it, like we largely do in data science and other domains. And then there is a user-defined functions, like something what is not already there and you want to do or create it for yourself. You can create a user-defined function using a reserved keyword called as a def. So if I simply write, say, functions, I every time do the same thing. I write the function spelling wrong. So functions, and I love it. So yeah, let's define a function to take two values and then return sum of it. So def, say adder is the name of the function what I want to give, and I'll need two variables. So I'll just take dummy two variables a and b, give a colon, and whenever you write a colon, you shift a tab ahead, because whatever would be tab ahead part would be there inside the function now. And then if you write, say, return a plus b, when you return it, your function is created. Now you want to make use of it, so you'll write adder, not adder, okay, adder, not adder. So if you write 10 and 50, run it, you'll get an outcome of 60. So it will do the addition for you. That's a very basic function what I have shown you, everyone. Like this, if you increase the amount of like codes over here, like you want to calculate simple interest, compound interest, you want to create a function to check if the number is even or odd, you can use if else statement within this. You can use for statement within this. You can write huge set of codes and bundle it up and put it in a function. I hope that this is clear for everyone. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed. Please do like, share and subscribe our Fireblaze AI School channel. And to know more, you can also log on to fireblazeaischool.in. There we have a lot of predefined programs for you guys. Thank you.